All right, good afternoon. Go ahead and get started. Oh, you guys ready? I'll wait for you.
I didn't see you walk.
Thought you'd wait long enough. All right, you guys ready? I am Will Glenn, the Public Affairs Manager. We're going to bring up Durham Police Department Chief C.J. Davis to read a written statement. Along behind me also, we have Deputy Chief Rick Pendergrass, have Anthony Scott, the Durham Housing Authority CEO, and also Mr. Charles Lyon, who is the Resident Safety Coordinator. I do want to reiterate, this is preliminary. We're going to give you information that we have. We'll update you all as soon as we have more information to share with you. Chief Davis.
Good afternoon. Chief C.J. Davis of the Durham Police Department. A fatal officer-involved shooting occurred today involving a Durham police officer near Wabash and Dayton Streets in the McDougal Terrace housing community. Based on preliminary investigation, 3 officers in uniform from the Violent Incident Response Team, VIRT, were on patrol in McDougal Terrace in response to an increase in crime in that district. They encountered a man on foot around 12:30 p.m. and stopped to speak with him. During the conversation, the man made a sudden movement toward his waistband and a struggle ensued. During the struggle, the officers heard a gunshot. In response, an officer fired his weapon. The man, whose name is not being released at this time, pending notification of relatives, was pronounced dead at the scene. An officer suffered a leg injury during the incident and was taken to the hospital for treatment. The officer was not shot. A gun, which was not the property of the Durham Police Department, was located next to the body at the scene. The shooting is being investigated by the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigations, which is standard procedure in officer-involved shootings here in Durham. Officers on the VIRT unit focus on gathering intelligence and following up on violent crime incidents. No further details are available at this time. Anyone with information about the incident is asked to contact the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigations at 919-662-4500. More information as it relates to what specific investigator will be handling this case will be provided in the very near future. At this time, are there any questions?
What was the gentleman doing?
I'm sorry, we have a microphone also so we can get those on the air.
Skip Foreman with the Associated Press. What was the gentleman doing that prompted the officers to approach him?
At this particular time, I don't know specifically what he was doing. These officers had been working various violent crime cases, and at that particular time was doing a neighborhood canvass. We have had an uptick, an increase in crime in that particular district, and much of what we have attempted to do is gather intelligence in the community from community members.
Chief Davis, could you elaborate on the leg injury that the officer suffered?
I don't know the extent of the leg injury, but he was transported to the hospital as a result of the struggle that ensued. The officer was not shot in the leg. I think there was some information out there, but the officer was not shot in the leg.
And another question, the city council just approved body cameras last night. You guys are going to get them. Just your comment on that and the fact that, does this increase the need to have those body cameras?
Yes. This does increase the need. The need was already very apparent to us to help provide clarity in situations such as this and just routine patrol calls and investigations.
Colin Warnhex, the Herald Sun. Were the officers in uniform or were they plainclothes officers?
These officers were in uniform.
with WRAL. And when do you all expect to roll out those body cameras?
Well, we have been anticipating the receipt of the body cameras for some time now, so we're really excited about it. We spoke to the vendor, and we're looking at a very aggressive rollout to begin in District 4, the district that this incident occurred in, and looking at around the beginning of the year so that we can have our officers trained appropriately and understand the standard operating procedures, general order that accompanies that body camera software, and to ensure the infrastructure is ready for this program.
And as far as you know, is there any footage, civilian or dash cam, of this incident?
Well, and that's why I provided the information also to the SBI. If there is any footage out there, we're hoping that individuals will provide that footage or information. We don't have any dash cam footage, and of course, at this particular time, we do not have body cameras.
Yes, ma'am. Ken Fine with Indy Week. How many shots were fired by your officers?
At this particular time, I don't know. I'm not certain.
And
at
is
this
there a
particular
specific
time.
reason that they were in that neighborhood, or were they just, this was part of a routine patrol?
Actually, I wouldn't call it a routine patrol. Our statistics over the last 3 months have shown a serious, at least a 20% increase in robberies in that particular district and violent crime. Our concern has been the community members that live in that particular community, and our approach has been to gather intelligence through various non-confrontational types of conversations and communication, neighborhood canvassing, so that we can identify specific individuals that have been responsible for some of the violent crime, drive-by shootings, gang activity that we've seen in that community.
Yeah, and last thing, these officers who were in their uniforms, did they show up in an unmarked car, or were they in an actual visible Durham Police Department cruiser?
I believe these officers had an unmarked vehicle.
And is there a reason for that?
We have several unmarked vehicles in our fleet, and right now we're allowing our officers to occupy the vehicles that we do have to get them out there on the street.
Sure, fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, where are those officers now? I heard one maybe in the hospital, or are they now on administrative patrol?
Well, I'm not sure if the one officer has been released just yet, but the other officer has already been released on administrative assignment until this investigation has concluded.
So just two, one in the
Yes.
one? Okay.
As far as I know for now.
Oh, for now, okay.
For now, I know there were 2 officers involved.
Okay.
Hi, Virginia from the from the Newsman server. Do you know whether the officer and the person that was shot had a previous relationship, whether through previous arrest or previous court cases?
I don't know that there was a previous relationship. I can tell you that the officers that were in this community were very familiar with the community, and many of the community members are familiar with them as community engagement officers in the past.
Have either of the 2 officers who were involved in today's incident ever been placed on administrative leave or discipline for things involving arrest before violent incidents, whether things that had to be investigated, whether shooting or physical contact?
At this particular time, I can't answer that, but I can certainly, at a later time, get that information for you. At this time, I'm not sure of that. We haven't had an opportunity to see. Yeah.
Just to clarify, your press release says 3 officers were involved, and you stated that earlier. We know 1 was injured. So is only 1 of those remaining 2 officers on paid administrative leave, or are they both?
And as I said, unfortunately, I am still getting information about the incident, and there may have been, is it 3? I'm sorry. There were 3, and the other 2 officers, one in the hospital now, or being treated at the hospital,